I'm George, one of the co-founders of The Mighty Kitchen, a food tech startup that's basically making chicken out of plants. So we've gone through this process and analyzed thousands of ingredient combinations. What we've done then is we've checked sensory and structural elements to understand what actually makes chicken chicken, what excites us about that, what taste, what feeling in our mouth, and so on. And we've managed to get rid of the animal, but maintain the same taste sensation in the process. And I'm going to be honest, we've killed a lot of plants in the process. And what that's helped us do, though, is actually then address the very serious problem that is the mass animal agriculture industry, one of the largest sources of inefficiency, landfill degradation, and everything that comes with that. And so this has helped us then to create our product, which is not this. This was our initial idea, because being from the area, this is what we seem to think of. First of all, I'm going to create meat, I'm going to create this. But we wanted it to be something really, though, that people can eat every day, that can couple with every meal. That's the part of making long-lasting change. And so we moved away from this quickly. And we looked at our initial business model and what that would consist of. So we had this idea, first of all, of selling into supermarkets. And we thought we can offer a data analytics model as an added service to go with that, disrupt the industry a little bit. But what we quickly realized was that supermarkets were not going to be our target audience because they're just too huge for a little startup like us to get into and start playing around with price at this point. So we moved out to target some other kind of customers at the beginning, which was our food service outlets. Through our customer discovery process, we created value scenes, so this could be the visual element of what we go into interviews with. And as you can see with the next slide, unlike our previous presenters, we really care about the artwork involved in what we do. It's not great, but the idea was great behind it. We had this idea that we come in and we offer you a data service, and that you'll pay extra for this because we can tell you about what your customers' behaviors are. We can predict what they're going to purchase next. They hated it. So they said to us, this is not something we're looking for. This doesn't fit into our current model. But as we say, like every learning is a step forward. And actually, the most interesting insight that came from this entire process was to do with the format of our product. Because we were stressing at the beginning that this is a fresh product. We were going to vacuum pack, serve fresh as, deliver fresh as chicken breast. And we have this problem that how will it last once it gets to the consumers if it's food service outlets and so on. And so 9 out of 10 told us we don't want it fresh, we want it frozen. Which was great, because that really worked well for us. And in the end, the biggest problem we had was we just had so many insights that the challenge became filtering through those and understanding what we would then take to build a hypothesis to go to our experimentation phase. And what we decided on in the end was what made most sense for us, and we structured a big chunk of this testing period around the product itself, because it really tied into some of the next core elements we had as a business. So these are the 4 experiments we laid out all together. I'm going to walk you through them because they were interesting. The first one was we had a website, but we drove traffic to it. And over around the month and a half period, we were testing to see how many people would sign up for a direct delivery model so we can bypass the supermarket or the food service out or create another revenue stream. So we had about a 12% sign up, which for stuff like this is pretty good and definitely worth following up. We launched a survey in the same circumstances, looking at how people would look for. So we had the data model idea. It didn't work, but we said, what else would people potentially want other than the product itself? And we had a pretty good response rate, with almost 50% of the respondents then saying, yeah, we want something more than just the product from you. And then the final test that had a positive outcome for us was great, was actually the product viability test itself. So we managed to bring the product cost and the production model down to a level that was acceptable for us. There was a 4th test which didn't go so well. We tried to get letters of intent from potential distributors, We didn't have the product at the time for them to taste and feel and cook, so it's obvious saying that now that it was a no-go, but we tried and we learned from the process anyway and moved on. So we quickly did a zoom out, analyzed the business model environment, and took a few key learnings from there, which we then pumped into our SWOT analysis. And really for us, our strengths right now is that we have an ingredient and technological combination which works well at a very specific price. And the opportunity for us is harnessing that technology to help us scale in a way that nobody else really in the market should be able to. High level, again, nothing like the guys before. They showed you some detailed financials. We have those, but the high level of this concept is that it's for the specific format that we're launching into the UK market. It's about a €100 million market over the next 3 years. And just on a grander scale, it's a multi-billion euro market in the next decade alone, the alternative meat space. So we'll go back to the final business model canvas and show you how it looked like at the beginning, and it looked a little bit like this. We quickly realized that the format of the product would change slightly, obviously from the gyros to something which was more consumable on a daily basis, the chunks. And then our original customer actually changed as well, because we thought it would be the food service outlets. It became the distributor. So we simplified the model to something like this, but in the experimentation process, we uncovered a potential new revenue stream which could be the direct order model, which we'd had really good feedback on the interviews, and we'd had sign-ups from the website tests. And as a bit of a residue of a conversation we were having with one of our key partners, it turned out that once the technology is developed in the way that we want, and even now there are potentials for licensing with some of our key partners, but that needs to go through its own testing process by itself. So the question that a lot of startups go through is, did they pivot? Did they have to move into something completely new? We say we didn't pivot, actually, but in retrospect, we changed the format of the product, we changed the way it would be delivered, and we changed our core customer. So we made some pretty significant changes, even if it wasn't as complex as that. So the next steps, though, for us are really doubling down on our core technology, making that more efficient, and making sure that we partner up with the right co-manufacturers so we can bring this product out at scale. This isn't something we want in a couple of local cafes. The plan for this is to roll out into the UK food space with hundreds of franchise partners within the next year or so, and then really blow that up to Northern Europe and the Middle East. So the conclusion for us at this stage was we were really happy. I mean, we made some mistakes, we learned a bunch of things, but our purpose at this stage, and stage 2 of the program, was to bring the product to a point where we had a formula that we were happy to go into the market with, and we got there. But that's part of the story, because I think, as everyone's alluded to so far, nothing is possible without an amazing team to execute. There are a million ideas. If you can't execute, then you will have no impact. And we're lucky enough to have some of the most intelligent and most dedicated people on this planet working with us and helping to drive this forward. The customer development journey, as we've been through, is a super valuable experience, I think, for everyone. There's so much to learn, and the important thing is that you don't treat a failure as a failure, but that you treat it as an opportunity to learn, because it's only a failure if you stop there, right? So there's always this chance to learn. The acceleration program itself has been terrible. I'm joking, guys. So it's been good. It's incomparable. All jokes aside, I had to say that. That was just I was thinking that the whole time, and I don't know how it came out. But the point is, there is nothing like it locally. You'll be hard-pressed to find something that pushes you through the same experience internationally. We've pitched here, we've pitched abroad, we've met key partners all over the place. Because of this, we've had access to world-class training. If you have something and it's brewing and you haven't developed it yet, these are the guys to help you get it done. And so just closing up with some final thoughts, we know that there's been a rise in deforestation. We're inefficiently using land and water resources. We know that CO2 emissions are increasing. And the UN itself advises us that one of the most impactful things that we can do on an individual level is actually decrease to adjust our diet to a more resource-efficient one. But we also understand that as human beings, we're arguably the most complex animal that's ever lived on this planet, and you can't tell us what to do. We have automated patterns of thinking, and it needs to be very specific and a clear reason for us to move out of this. And that's why, as the Mighty Kitchen, we don't really want to make you change anything. We want to create a product within an environment and then build that out to an ecosystem which you're very familiar with. We want you to be able to, whether it's today, tomorrow, in a year or two, you're going to get down to the restaurant, you're going to pop out for a meal, and you're going to go down to the butcher's. And we want you to buy the products that you've always been buying. But instead of that product being raised crazy inefficiently on a factory farm, we want that product that you buy to be brought out by the Mighty Kitchen. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us.